If you want to learn Python with clarity, structure, and real purpose, you're welcome to join us. Register, follow along, and let's learn together. And that was why click on the file that I have shared with you. You will see this information there. So when you are able to open that information, you will see exactly what I am showing you right now, because the details and everything is shared with you. So as I update the information for the next classes, you will also have access to it. So never mind these dates. It says 16 and 24th. It's actually 15 and it's actually 15th here. So modify that data. You'll find that in the file. So what do we want to do? So the mission is for you to be able to transform a Python computing program from a beginner level to the way a programmer should think, a computational person should think. Okay, so you will think like the computer thinks. So that's the way I'm going to build up these lessons with you, and that's why we're starting today with the building and visualizing of nested data structures. Okay, so I'm going to use an analogy of apartments to, explain this before we put our hands into, you know, uh, stuff. Okay, so why dimensions matter. Modern technology relies on multidimensional arrays, just like, for example, if you have an image, it's based on pixels, right? So you have the height, you have the width, and then you have the color. So for those who are in the physics, you have objects that are being simulated in 3D space. Okay, 3D space there means three-dimensional space. For example, you have length, breadth, and height. Okay, so then in finance, you may need to be managing spreadsheets of stock prices over time. So when you talk of spreadsheets, not one spreadsheet. So instead of open one and going to the other, Python helps you to iterate, to increase your pace, increase your rate of work. What that means is that you'll be able to work at faster speed than you will be doing when you are working one by one. So you can imagine you have data that is evolving every day, or that is time bound. Okay, so such data sets are not one dimensional. Okay, you may have somebody who is having multiple information, and you want to access that multiple information from different groups of people. So that is not a single dimensional data set, right? So this multi-dimensional arrays that we're talking about cuts across all kinds of field. So by the end of today, what am I expecting you to learn? Okay, I'll be expecting you to understand what lists mean. When you list certain things, what does it mean? And how does Python stores data in form of layers? But these layers now have other layers in them. That is what we call the nested layers. Then you'll be able to construct your own two-dimensional and three-dimensional data environment from the beginning by yourself, because now you have the understanding of how these data sets are arranged and they work. And then from that, you move on to complex systems. So with this, I'll start with basic concept. So the first is a string. Okay, so a string is a sequence of characters, and characters in Python can be alphabets or can be numerical for you to see. Okay, you can see there's a quotation mark over this room. So this, when you see a quotation mark like this, it implies that that is a string. It's a string statement. Okay, so we now give attach this room name as laboratory, and then if you want to see the output of what the room name is or what the string is, you just say print f of string example and room name. Okay, we'll practice that shortly. You'll see what it gives you. So it will not print this if you don't put the quotation mark. So it can be double quotation or a single quotation. Okay, so Python understands it when it is single or when it is double. The hostel before, you see that the hostels are labeled and they are named. Sometimes you can have multiple blocks of hostels, and those multiple blocks of hostels have floors. Some will have three floors, some will have single floor but multiple rooms. All right, so a list is a floor with multiple rooms. Just just imagine when you have a room, a floor of building, and then you have multiple rooms. That is a list. It's in order. So they will name it from one point to the other, right? Then with a list, you'll be able to access each item using index. So an index is what you associate to the item, to each room. So let's assume that a room has a floor has 5 rooms. Okay, so those 5 rooms, we label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in Python, We don't label them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what Python understands as index is that the first room will be given an index of 0. The second room will be given an index of 1. The third room will be given an index of 2, and so on and so forth. Then the last room can be given an index of the last number. But in any case where you have the numbers to be very large and you want to find out what the last room is, you just use a -1 to identify the index. Okay, so let's take for example, floor rooms are given as a list like this. So you have kitchen, lounge, office. Okay, so in that floor you have kitchen, lounge, and office. So you want to look at the rooms that are available, so you can just say print list example floor rooms. Okay, so you will see what that will print out for you. Now let's look at dictionary. If you look at your normal dictionary, how your dictionary works, okay, a dictionary is a labeled data using key value pairs. Okay, so on one side you have the key, on the other side you have the value. So it's a pair. Okay, so an ID card for a room. So for example, everybody has access to his room. You want to have an access to your room, you must have an ID card. So for room 0, for you to access room 0, your ID card must be associated with that room 0. So that is what a dictionary is like. You access the items in a dictionary by using the label. Okay, so you have the keys and then you have the values. So you use the keys to access the values. For example, please you may want to yourself as you are joining. Thank you very much. So room details, for example, name here stands for the key. Now you see a column. Okay, so this column is an identifier, a pointer to what the key is. So when you are creating a dictionary, you must have, the key will always be in string format, because if you look at this, right, you can see it's a string. Remember, we say string is identified by a quotation mark or double quotation marks. Okay, so you have this as a string, and then you have this as the name of office. So the name of the office is based on alphabet. Okay, so because they are alphabets, you have to indicate them by a string. So Python will only identify alphabets or texts or word when you put them as a string. Okay, now look at floor. Floor is given as 2. So when you have numbers or integers or floats, okay, they are indicated this way. And then you can also have a boolean operation. I will scroll up. I will select the first option there. You also on your screen, you can open the file and select that. Okay, to select and to copy is Control C. Okay, Control C, and then you come to the cell you have opened, and then you click on it, that middle cell, and then you paste. Control V, just like you do on your normal computing. Control V, you paste. Okay, when you paste, then you have an icon on the left hand side, okay, that shows a circular button there that has an arrow. Okay, you just click on that and then the code will run. Okay, so you can see what happens there. The code is already completed, the output is given to you. So everything you have put here, when you say print, since we are talking about strings, you say f of this, and then you can see it's printing it out as a dictionary. Okay, so you identify a dictionary by a curly bracket. Okay, so you can now see it says string example laboratory. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The next one is a list. So we copy this list. Okay, we copy this list, and then we open another cell, a code cell, where we want to run the code cell. You hover your cursor at the middle bottom of your screen, then you click on code. Okay, and then you paste that there. Now you look at this hashtag that I have supplied here. Now this hashtag means comments. So whatever you comment out will not be executed when you run the code. Okay, it will not be executed, and you can see the colors are different from the lines, line 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so now we have a list that is given here, list of rooms. We want to print the list, the floors. We want to all the floor rooms, and also want to select the first floor. Okay, the first floor, like we said, is indexed as 0. So when you run this code, okay, you can see the output says list example floor. You can see because we have put this in string format, that's why it is printing it out. But if it's not in string format, it will give us an error. So you can see it says list example of floor. You can see it has listed out what floor rooms contain. Floor room contains a list of kitchen, lounge, and office. Can you see that? Now we have said we want to select the first room. So you just put a square bracket in front of floor room, and then it will identify what the first one is. Now let's try something else here. Let's try something else here. I'm creating a new cell code, and then I want to look for the second floor room. So what is the name of the second floor room? So all I need to type is floor underscore. You can see it's giving you options. I'll just select the option, and then I'll say square brackets. So what will be the first floor from what I have told you about indexes? The first floor will be 0. The second floor will be index of 1. Okay, so I'll put 1 there, and then I'll run the code. Okay, when I run the code, let's see what floor rooms 1 gives us. You can see it's giving us that it's a string of launch. Now you can look at this: 0, 1, 2. So we've tried 0 here, it's giving us 1. We've tried 2, now it's giving us. Okay, so the next thing is, what if we want to find the last one? Okay, you can do -1. Okay, if you type -1, it will give you the last floor. Okay, so you can see it's identifying it as office. Okay, so that is the way it works. Okay, so we want to look at the analogy of an apartment. We look at the building, we look at the floors, and then the rooms. So look at the outer list as the container for everything. So for example, look at this building. Building is referring to what? The outer list. Look at this floor. That's the outer list. Floor, outer list. Floor, outer list. Right? Item E, outer list. Floor. Now look at these floors on the right hand side. They indicate the inner list. Okay. So you can see item E is also the inner list. Okay. Item G is the inner list. So just have that at the back of your mind, that we're dealing with 3 things: the building, the floors, and the rooms. So inside the building, you have everything. It contains everything, right? That is the outer list. So you have an outer list, and the list is surrounded by a block bracket. So inside a block bracket, you have everything inside it. And then inside that block bracket, you now have another set of lists again, block brackets, smaller block brackets that are called inner lists. And each sublist represents a floor. Okay? So each of these sublists inside this building, the outer list, we have floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4. Okay? Do you get that? Then we are now moving to the inner list. This inner list is a sublist that represents the floors. So you now have the inner list like that. Okay? So that is the way I want you to visualize how the multidimensional structure of data sets looks like. And then inside each individual room, inside each room, you have items in that, which is another form of sublist. So okay, 3 rooms per floor. So you have 3 floors. Okay, story building having 3 floors: the ground floor, first floor, and the second floor. Then in each of these floors, you have 3 rooms. Okay, so how do we build that? So we want to create a 3-story building, which is a 2-dimensional list. Okay, a 2-dimensional list. So we want to build that. Now let's, when you hover just below this cell, you will see a code there. Just below that, you open that code line. I'll just copy this. Okay, I'll just copy this and paste it in the cell there. Okay, so if you want, you can move this cursor. So now look at the structure of this. Floor 0, row 0. Okay, you have room 101, 102, 103. So that is your row 0. Okay, now if you look at floor 1, you have 201, 202, and 203. So you have floor 1, row 1. Okay, if you look at floor 2, you have 301, 302, 303. That is your floor 2. Okay, so we now have 3 floors containing 3 rooms, giving you 2-dimensional array. Okay, so if you want to print what is in the building, for example, here I have a mistake. I need to put building there. Okay, so I'll click on code, And then you can say print. You can decide to just use your building like this, and then underscore 2D, and you run. Now another shortcut to run your code is Control Enter. Okay, when you press Control Enter, the code will also run. So what happens here? It says name building 2D is not defined. Why is it not defined? It's because I have not run this cell that I have put, this code cell. You can see there is no number in the bracket beside it. That shows that that cell has not been run. Okay. So if you look at other cells that I've run, you will see there is a number attached to them. Can you see? 1, 2, 4. Okay. So and what you see in the bottom icon there, it shows the time spent in running that code. So it's like about 0 seconds. Okay. So here this cell has not been run. That's why it is telling me name building 2D is not defined. Okay. And it's telling me the line number where the error is coming from. It's telling me that it's line number 1. And line number 1 is the name I have, sorted this data into. So I'll have to run that. So when I run that, it will be stored in a memory that, okay, this variable name is being stored in the memory. Okay, so whenever I look for it, it will pop out and give me exactly the data I'm looking for. Okay, so I don't have to repeat writing this code over again. So you can see now it's showing number 6. You can see this is number 5 because I ran this cell before this cell. That's why it's giving it in the order of the timing it has been run. Okay, now the next thing is I'll come back and run this cell again. Okay, so you can see what it is telling me. Now when I printed this building 2D, you can see the outer building, which is this bracket, square bracket, and this last square bracket. Okay, do you understand? You have this square bracket at the outskirt and then another one at the end. So that is the entire building, what covers everything. Now inside that main building, you have another square bracket. Can you see that? Another set of lists. Okay, then this is another set of lists. Okay, then this is another set of lists. So you have how many lists inside this building? You have 3 lists, right? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, with the structure of the building that we have mentioned. Now inside each floor, this is floor 1, this is floor 2, and this is floor 3. Now let's the building for 2D. Okay, now you can see 101, 102, 103. Okay, now inside this building, I want to access the first room. Okay, inside this first floor, first room should give me 101. Okay, so I will open another bracket, square bracket again, and say I want to access the first room. Okay, so I'll run that again. So our first room should give me 101. Can you see that? So that is the way you access that. Now accessing elements, we have just done that. Building 2 of 1, building 2 of 0. Okay, you can practice that. Then there is a challenge here for you to try. Here you would learn to use append to dynamically add a new floor to their structure. For example, we already have new building. You want to add a penthouse. Okay, you want to add other things. All you need to do is look at building 2D dot append penthouse. So it will add this penthouse to these lists, original lists that you have that is here. Okay, so you can add more and add more and add more. Okay, so and then you can try this. Access room 303. How do you access room 303? So just like what I have tried here and tried here, you know that this is in floor 2, right? The index is floor 2. So you put 2 here, and then 303 is the last room in there. So you put 2. That will give you 0, 1, 2. Okay? I'm giving you a hint. So there is a project here you are going to try. Okay? On your own, you'll try that project, and then you tell me what you see. If you have any issues, you can let me know. Yeah, any question? The floor is open. Yes, go ahead.